तथा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। Since I mentally won't be able to.
Hari Om. Okay.
um,
Distinguishing knowledge and experience. How can the contradictory experiences of adequacy and inadequacy be reconciled? Here it is necessary to distinguish knowledge from experience. Knowledge is the grasp of what it is. Experience is the direct, perpetual participation in an event. Experience can lead to knowledge, but the impression of experience need not be knowledge. Experience has to be assimilated in terms of knowledge. This is so because one may experience something and still be ignorant of it. Experience is one thing, knowledge of what I have experienced is quite another. When I have knowledge, it includes perception, it includes experience. But experience does not have to include knowledge. For knowledge, what is experienced must be known for what it is. Experience may or may not coincide with knowledge. Knowledge is something that can both contradict experience and resolve the seeming contradictions in experience. Experience can lead to knowledge. Experience need not include or be knowledge. Experiences can be contradictory. Knowledge includes experience. Knowledge can contradict experience. Knowledge can also resolve the contradictions in experience, and knowledge cannot be contradicted. Any given set of perceptual impressions gained from experience may or may not conform to knowledge. To qualify as knowledge, they must pass the test of inquiry. For instance, the experience in most parts of the world is that the sun rises each day in the eastern sky and travels to the west where it sets. In the polar regions, at a particular time of the year, the experience is that the sun travels in a circle. Sunrise and sunset are not experienced. Which set of experiences should be taken as real? Are both sets of experiences real? An analysis becomes necessary. An inquiry must be made, taking into account all available factors. The questions are: is the experience of a sun that rises in the east and sets in the west fact or not? Is this observation true? What about the polar sun that can be seen traveling in a circle? How does this observation correspond with fact? First experience, the sun rises and sets. Second experience, the sun moves in a circle. The knowledge, with respect to the earth, the sun is stationary, neither rising nor setting nor moving in a circle. The sun appears to rise or set or move in a circle from the standpoint of a particular spot on an orbiting planet turning on its axis. After inquiry and analysis, the contradictions are resolved in a true understanding of the relationship of the earth to the sun. The sun, although apparently in motion, is stationary as it relates to the earth. The appreciation of this fact is knowledge. The experiences were only mithya, apparent, something which appears to be but is not so. The sight of a rising or a setting sun may be a beautiful experience, But in terms of knowledge, it is an illusion. Experiences may contradict each other. Knowledge encompasses and reconciles the contradictions.
This is a very important point which Swami always makes that many people think of moksha as some sort of experience, a particular experience like some sort of experience. Samadhi gives moksha. Many people think like that, but yeah, actually, it's very common in Vedanta circles. This is something. This is something. Uh, discourages such seeking of such experiences because actually experience cannot lead to moksha. Moksha is actually a problem of not knowing. It's a problem that we already don't know we are Satchidananda. So our problem will only be solved when we actually know that. It's a problem of knowing and not experience. Uh, one example Buddhism makes it one of his videos called Experiencing Dumb is Dumb. It's just 3 or 4 minutes videos you can watch on YouTube. In that, Swamiji tells us a story. Once Swamiji was traveling to Rishikesh from Delhi uh, in a plane. And a person was sitting next to him. After then they both had some conversation, and he later asked Swamiji, Swamiji asked him where he was going. Then he showed him an address. Said Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Jani Jadi, Rishikesh. Said it was address of Puji Swamiji's ashram, and he was going to meet Puji Swamiji actually. He is actually already experiencing Puji Swamiji. He is just sitting next to Puji Swamiji. He does not know that he is sitting next to the person whom see whom he is traveling. He was traveling to see Puji Swamiji. Puji Swamiji was sitting next to him. Yet he did not know. So we can have experience, yet not know the fact, as Puji Swamiji mentions in his sunsetting and sunrise example. So it's very important that knowledge is the important factor here. Can you tell us the story? Was it the same story I just told?
Shamuba, you asking me?
Yeah, Nirmala ji, was it the same story?
Yeah, it was an Australian person who was sitting next to Swamiji in the flight, and he didn't know he was sitting right next to him when he was actually going to visit him. So I just remembered the same story. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we can move to next.
Srinivas J has also joined.
Srinivas, will you be able to?
Namaste, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
sure. Inquiry into the nature of oneself, Atma Vichara. With regard to oneself, there are two contradictory sets of experience. Most of the time, experientially, I find myself to be inadequate, and yet there are moments when I find myself adequate, not wanting, full and complete. The question thus arises, am I adequate or am I inadequate? There is experience to support either conclusion, or perhaps I must conclude that I am occasionally adequate and often inadequate, or that I am occasionally inadequate and largely adequate. If these are conclusions, then I must reflect how I become inadequate if in fact I am adequate or vice versa. Such reflection requires inquiry. The inquiry necessary to resolve the particular question of self-adequacy is called Atma Vichara. Atma means I or self, and Vichara is in inquiry. Self-inquiry, Atma Vichara, is necessary because I have two contradictory sets of experience about myself. My ceaseless pursuit of things in the hope they will make me adequate shows that I experience myself as inadequate. I usually have a sense of being deficient. From this continual sense of deficiency, I conclude that I am inadequate. But sometimes I do experience moments of adequacy. It is from such moments that I know what it is to be adequate. These occasional experiences of adequacy make any conclusion that I am inadequate premature. The issue must be kept open. An inquiry is necessary to resolve the contradiction. I must examine and analyze my experiences to see which validly reflect fact and which is illusory.
Please read the next topic. These topics are connected, so better to discuss.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear very well.
Srinivas, can you please read the next topic also, because these
Oh, next
topics are
topic.
connected.
Okay, sure. Analysis of the search for adequacy. When I examine my search for adequacy, I find that adequacy is not an object in relation to me. Inadequacy is centered on me. I am an inadequate being. I seek adequacy as myself. I do not seek adequacy to be other than myself, but I seek it through other things, through security, artha, and pleasures, kama, because that is the only way I know of seeking adequacy. Ceaselessly I seek adequacy through artha and kama until finally I am able to seek that these pursuits do not lead me to adequacy. I become mature. I recognize that what I seek is adequacy itself, an adequacy not produced by gain of security and pleasure. I become a mumukshu, a direct seeker of adequacy. When I recognize the nature of the human problem and understand it cannot be solved by pursuit of artha and kama, I seem to be in a helpless position. What is left for me to do? Artha and kama are all I know, and there seem to be only two things to do with them. Pravritti, the pursuit of gain, and nivritti, the renunciation of gain, neither of which solves the problem of inadequacy. Artha and kama do not work. Perhaps the solution has to be simply to accept inadequacy. But when one explores the possibility of accepting inadequacy, no solution to the problem is found. One does not find it possible to accept inadequacy. The seeking of adequacy is not a cultivated desire. It is not a desire one acquires along the way, born of circumstances and conditioning. A cultivated desire can be abandoned, but a natural urge cannot be given up. The ambition to be an astronaut is an acquired desire that can be dropped later for any one of the variety of reasons. But natural urges such as the urge to breathe or the urge to eat can never be dropped. One can hold one's breath, but the urge to breathe remains. One can refuse food, but the urge to eat is still there. The urge to be adequate is universal and is not in one's power to give up, nor can one accept inadequacy and be happy. I cannot give up my urge to be adequate, nor can I accept inadequacy. I see that behind all my pursuit of security and pleasures is the fundamental urge to be adequate, and that these pursuits do not make me so. Neither pursuit or the abandonment of pursuit makes me adequate. Seeing all this, I become a mukshu, a direct seeker of freedom from inadequacy who seems to have no other means to achieve what he seeks.
That was quite long and very clear actually. This one explains why it is a natural urge and not a cultivated desire. From the minute we are born, we are seeking for security or some sort of security or pleasure. So it's not an desire that we got it. afterwards, sometime that's not a desire we acquire. It's not possible to give up the desire. So, the only thing we can do is to acquire self-knowledge and understand ourselves to be unlimited, not limited, limitless. That's the only thing we can actually. Do you have any questions or any point to make? Which videos you have?
Shamuka, you were explaining about this that distinction between knowledge and experience, and you were saying Swamiji had spoken about that experience. Some videos we were talking just a little earlier before Srinivas read.
Yeah. I'll post that.
Thank you.
Uh, I'll continue. Nature of achievement. Achievement in life falls under two categories. The first category, which we know very well, is the achievement of not yet achieved apraptasya praptihi. The second, not uncommon but less well recognized, is the achievement of that which is already achieved. Apraptasya praptihi. What is not yet achieved is achieved in time and space by effort. The house you do not have, the spouse, the children, the money, the fame, the health, all that you do not have require appropriate effort over a period of time to achieve. A place different from the one you occupy is achieved by effort. You walk, run, drive, or fly to it. A clay pot is produced by appropriate effort to spend for a period of time on a lump of clay which has only potential. These are achievements we know. Achievements through efforts of things away from us in time and space. Being dependent upon efforts, these achievements are limited by these very efforts. Given effort being what it is limited in nature. It begins and ends. Has so much and no more. So much and no more. Effort, efforts being the results of efforts are also limited. Efforts being the results of efforts also are limited. Production of effort cannot be limited, cannot but be limited. Uh, Bringing about of a new condition through effort at the same time causes a change in the old condition. For example, desired achievement to move from one place to place one to place two. Effort to risk 5 minute walk. Result place two achieved. Place one lost. Place one and place two are mutually limited. The gain of one is the loss of the other. A new condition results in the change of old condition. The first and the second, the new and the old, are mutually limited. It is evident that the result dependent on effort is always limited in nature because effort is limited. So achievements which are not yet achieved, apraptasya prapti, being dependent upon effort, will necessarily be limited. Therefore, the achievement of uh, adequacy, which is the fourth human goal, liberation or moksha, cannot fall under the heading the not yet achieved, apraptasya prapti. The adequacy one seeks is nothing less than limitlessness. One seeks to discover oneself as full, complete, adequate being without even any hint of limitation. This discovery does not, cannot take place through a process of becoming. Limited being through limited action gains a limited result. A series of limited results do not add up to limitlessness. Limited being plus a limited result plus limited results endlessly still equals a limited being. By a process of becoming inadequate and limited being will never become limitless. Any change that one brings about within or without will not change the limitless. All that one does not have, that is removed from one in time and space, will fall under the heading not yet achieved, including heaven. And anything that is separated from one in time or space is limited, wanting. That which is limited and wanting will remain limited and wanting. One is not going to be freed from inadequacy at a given place and at a given time, or be freed somewhere else later. This cannot happen. Change of situation, change of place, passage of time are relevant only to something which is limited. Again, so we are stressing that it is not something to be achieved. I read a book called Just Reality by John Manello, a disciple of Swamiji. Recently, it is a book based on um, Tattva. But he also talks about certain values we have to cultivate that going hand in hand with this, our search for self-knowledge. Our being student of Vedanta, there are certain values that help us to um, attain the qualifications required for a student. A student of any discipline, whatever, requires some qualifications. So in Vedanta, to be a student of Vedanta also requires some qualifications. We have looked at that in Tattva. So such a qualification for uh, studying Vedanta is discriminating inquiry. The ability to do discriminating inquiry, the ability to understand that actions and the results of actions are always limited. No limited action can never produce a result that is limitless. Self-knowing is self-acceptance is self-knowing, and it is not a limited result. It is being limitless. So that is something we can gain only through knowledge. It is not actually gain because we are already limitless. We just have to know it. We have to realize it. We have to recognize that we are limitless Satchidananda. So to know that we have to pursue self-knowledge. It cannot be gained through any particular action. One example he says is that a blind person, unless he opens his a blind person who has got some kind of eye surgery, if he opens his eyes, if he opens his eyes only, he can know whether he can see, he's able to see after the surgery or not. He has to open his eyes. Without opening his eyes, he'll never know. So, similarly, a person who is seeking self-knowledge also has to let the pramana, the means of knowledge, operate. And in the means of knowledge, in knowing self is Vedanta. So one has to let that pramana operate. And without that, he can never know what he is. What he is. No experience, no person is going to come and tell you, except the proper sampradaya with Guru who operates this Vedanta pramana can only help you understand that you are limitless. So knowledge has to be given.
Thank you, Shamubai.
Can you take the next?
Oh, sure. The gain of the already achieved. The second category of achievement is that of the already achieved, praptasya praptehi. If adequacy is not the result of the not yet achieved, apraptasya prapti, perhaps it can be an accomplishment of the already achieved, praptasya prapti. Is there such a thing as a accomplishment of the already achieved? It seems ridiculous. How can one seek to achieve what is already achieved? Now, let us see. A man ardently prays to the Lord to be given a head upon his shoulders. The Lord appears and says, "No, no, that I cannot give you." "What?" says the devotee. "You call yourself the Almighty Lord, but say you cannot do this simple thing which I humbly request?" "I may be the Lord, but how can I give you another head at the same location where you already have one? I can give you a second head, or another head in exchange, or modify the head you have. All of it seems like things which would be useful to you, but I cannot give you a head where you already have a head." There can be no achievement of the already achieved, such as obtaining a head where a head already is. The existing object, a head, stands in the way of the gain of a second object, another head, in an identical time-space locus. However, there is another kind of situation where achievement of the already achieved appears to be possible. When you have something but do not realize that you have it, ignorance of what is possessed can cause you to seek what is already in fact in your possession. You can have something and not realize that you have it. Non-recognition of something can cause one to seek the very thing that is in one's possession. Achievement of the already achieved becomes possible when ignorance prevents one from knowing the fact that the thing is already there. For example, resting a moment from my studies, I automatically push my reading glasses up from my eyes until the lenses rest on the top of my head. Returning to my book a few minutes later, I search the desk and the table, the chest of drawers, and the floor for my missing glasses, unaware that they are with me, precariously perched on my own head. "Someone has taken my glasses," I cry. "I must have them. I need them. I must find them." All the time my glasses are with me. Only ignorance of that fact keeps me away from them. When I am searching for glasses which are on the top of my head, there is no distance in space or time between me, the seeker, sadhaka, of the glasses, and me, the possessor of the glasses, the end to be achieved, the sadhya. With the glasses forgotten, perched on my head, I want to be the possessor of my glasses. I am a seeker, sadhaka, of the state of being the possessor of my glasses. Because the glasses are on the top of my head, I am the goal, sadhya, the possessor of my glasses. The distance between me, the seeker of the glasses, and me, the sought, the possessor of the glasses, is ignorance alone. Thus, in the situation where one is ignorant of the fact that what one seeks is already there, there is such a thing as the achievement of the already achieved. In such a situation, one's ignorance creates an apparent distance.
Again, full example. Any points of any discussions? Please feel free to have discussions in these sessions. Maybe just I'm not a teacher or anything. I'm just a fellow student like you. So it's better if we have discussions.
Okay, so sorry, I think I joined it slightly late today,
Yeah,
and yeah, so what we are talking about the distance between the sought and the seeker, and the distance between the sought and the seeker is ignorance. So if I think back, he says Swamiji says that the fundamental problem is self-acceptance. So
Self
because
non-acceptance.
yeah, self non-acceptance. So the thing is, I'm not acceptable to myself. And finally, he diagnoses it as the reason I'm not acceptable to myself is because what I am actually wanting is my infinite nature. And the infinite nature cannot be approached through work or any sort of meditation or anything like that. So he says there is one possibility. So he says, let's not take it as a conclusion. Possibly, I am infinite, but the thing is, I might be ignorant of it. And for this reason, we actually take the study of Vedanta, and that is how actually Vedanta works as a pramana to reveal that I'm already infinite. That is the reason why Vedanta is a pramana for us. That's my understanding.
Yeah. Basically, actually, Swamiji says it in the conviction of know as a person who has studied and known. And the problem is that from this natural urge that we have to feel adequate, and the conclusion we reach is our own. The, we have a natural urge to seek adequacy. So it is not uh, something we can change. So the urge cannot be changed. And the thing is whether we are inadequate or adequate, that one has to know from proper inquiry. There are certain times we feel there are moments very small when we achieve some result of the action, achieve what we wanted to. We always feel there is a moment when we don't feel inadequacy. So what we are doing is we are trying to gain more such moments. Trying to gain more such moments through artha and kama, we different source, different securities and pleasures we seek. We are trying to get such limited, such small experiences of adequacy. So we are trying to gain that. As we have seen, actions cannot give us something. Actions cannot make an inadequate or incomplete person complete. Actions cannot remove my fine, the feeling of if I am finite. Actions cannot remove that. Actions cannot change that. So uh, actions are already actions cannot be helpful. So we are next looking to uh, the solution, that is Vedanta. So one has to use the pramana. As I said in the earlier story, Swamiji's story, whether doctor can do the surgery, whether I can see or not, I only can move when I open my eyes and look. I have to allow the pramana, my eyes to operate. Without opening my eyes and seeing, without operating the pramana, I am never going to understand it. I am never going to know whether I can see or not. So that I can understand, I can know, I have to open the eyes and see. So similarly, the pramana for knowing this Brahman, that is knowing the Brahman, knowing the self, is Vedanta. So the only way to know is to let the Vedanta means Vedanta that is taught by a guru can only be Pramana. So let the use that Pramana and know the real nature of it. That is the only. Um, Srinath, can you continue? Yes.
Excuse me. Freedom from inadequacy, an already achieved goal. The first three human goals, dharma, artha, and kama, the ethical pursuit of security and pleasures, deal with not yet achieved gains, gains which, distant from the seeker in time and space, must be gained by effort. Effort being inherently limited produces a limited result. The fourth human goal, freedom from inadequacy, limitlessness, moksha, is not and cannot be produced by limited effort. Freedom from inadequacy, moksha, cannot be a not yet achieved goal to be gained through effort. Perhaps then moksha may be an already achieved goal hidden from the seeker by the ignorance of the seeker. Inquiry into the nature of adequacy shows that this is the only category in which we can put moksha. If freedom from inadequacy, moksha, is already achieved, this means that like the possessor of the glasses who wants to find the glasses, I am the adequate self, who yet wants to become the adequate self. I am the adequate self and yet I seek the adequate self. This can only mean that somehow ignorance hides me, the sought from me, the seeker.
One more topic we can read, and after that we can discuss. Sriram, bhai, can you?
I was just wondering because I had downloaded this book quite some time back. I'm seeing if I have this book somewhere. I was searching for it.
Or
If you can share your screen, I can read it.
I am already sharing this.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, so as
Able to see?
we now I can't see any text.
Yeah, Shamubai disappeared actually, even though I have the text.
Okay,
Okay,
I will share it.
so I was just searching for the text. Okay, okay. So we have already come from
Yeah,
the
now
okay.
it's available.
We have already come to the informed seeker. Okay, that's strange. Okay. It has been said that the seeker of adequacy moksha is called mumukshu. Such a seeker has discovered that the basic human problem underlying all pursuits is the urge to be completely free from inadequacy and has realized that the pursuit of security and pleasures cannot bring this freedom. When the direct seeker of freedom further discovers the goal that the goal he seeks must fall under the head of already achieved, another dimension is added to his understanding. He is then, I think you'll need to scroll down, in a position to understand what means are available to him to gain his goal. When I, a seeker, directly pursuing freedom from all inadequacy, discover that I seek is not something apart from me, something yet to be achieved, but is something separated from me only by ignorance, then my goal becomes destruction of that ignorance. Then I seek knowledge. When you know that you are not different from what you seek, then you become an informed seeker. You know you are seeking knowledge. An informed mumukshu is called a jignasu. Mumukshu, one who desires freedom from inadequacy. Jignasu, one who desires knowledge for the sake of freedom from inadequacy. Okay. Okay, so the mumukshu part was already completed last time?
In the last chapter, I think.
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation of Swamiji. Okay. So, would you like me to read or can I comment
Somebody
on
said
this?
that in the
Yeah,
next heading is there.
yeah,
Proceed.
yeah. So every mumukshu, okay, a mumukshu who has not discovered that knowledge is what is required may do futile things in his search for liberation. A seeker observant enough to see that his usual pursuits do not produce adequacy, but who has not understood that adequacy cannot be produced by any kind of effort, may resort to harsh austerities, hoping to win the freedom that he has not been able to achieve by usual efforts. Many examples can be found in almost all religions of severe, painful, and sometimes strange practices undertaken for the sake, could you just scroll down,
So,
of deliverance from limitation. So this is in case this is a mumukshu. Now he talks about every mumukshu and every seeker will become a jignasu when he understands that the nature of the problem is to dispel self-ignorance, the solution is to gain self-knowledge. The adequate being that what I want to be can never be attained through the process of becoming. The fact must be that I am already an adequate being, even though I seek to be an adequate being. The separation between me and adequacy must be due to ignorance. Therefore, it is ignorance, self-ignorance that must go. For self-ignorance to go, there must be self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is what is called liberation. For okay, so you want me to continue to the next one,
yeah,
correct?
please continue
Yeah.
with the next.
For self-knowledge, self-inquiry is necessary. Enquiry is necessary because to know the contradictory information of my experience have given me about myself. I have two types of experience. One type of experience has led me to conclude that I am inadequate. Another type has shown me to be an adequate being. I need to reconcile these two types of experience to see the fact that I am an adequate being. To accomplish this reconciliation, I must conduct a self-inquiry called Atma Vichara. Please scroll down. This inquiry into the self, which leads to discovery of the nature of oneself, is called Vedanta. Okay,
Uh,
so actually, I would like to comment on this a little bit.
yeah,
Now, what I observe is that if you actually observe this introduction very clearly and how he makes a distinction, he starts with first the human pursuits of dharma, artha, and kama. Okay, and he then says that there is a point at which a person will go into the spiritual process. Now, what he means to say is that when seekers are going for not only the harsh austerities, but we can also put the various types of meditations which are going on, as you and I know.
yeah,
So, all these attempts of the meditation, they say that you will experience some kind of a transcendent thing and all of that. Now, there is a problem over here because if you say you're experiencing something as transcendental or whatever, it's an experience and the experience will come and go. Point number one is this. Point number two, the problem is that you will not be able to conclude which experience is correct. You won't be able to conclude if that experience is correct or this experience is correct, that I am inadequate is my present experience. And when I experience that adequacy in whatever experience I've had, maybe I have not had it through meditation, maybe I have had it through meditation, that's a different thing to look at. But when I see that these two things are there, then what I need is not experience, but what I need is definite knowledge, or what they say as nischaya jnana, to say that okay, fine, I am adequate. So that is only done through proper vichara or analysis. And actually, he will. Swamiji has explained everything. I think everything is almost self-explanatory, whatever Swamiji has given.
yes,
So
yes,
this not only covers all the religions and all of that. You take any philosophy, the all of the other philosophies are getting negated with these few lines, which Swamiji explains.
yeah. Actually, in another book I was reading called Virtuous Reality by um, John Vaughn. He's a long time. He has been a disciple for this tradition for 30, 40 years. I think. So he has transcribed lots of books of Buddhism. So he's saying that Vedanta is not a philosophy or We should not look upon Vedanta as a uh, philosophy or something that synthesizes different religions or different concepts or something. Vedanta is not all that. Vedanta is just the vision of yourselves. Anything that because from saying I am whole and I am the whole, anything that is not in line with that vision cannot be Vedanta, and that should be proven wrong, and Vedanta should be understood properly. Only then it will work. Otherwise, not gaining any sort of knowledge is not going to. That will not lead to discovering oneself. And the self discovery can only be done through Vedanta. And anything, one more point on this is that anything that uh, tells you, anything that explains this same vision to you is Vedanta. And on the other philosophies, actually, yeah, ultimately they are trying to fight the common same problem, but they don't actually even know the right problem. What is the right problem? The real problem is also discovered only in Vedanta. That the problem is my inadequacy. I am trying to gain as adequacy, and why I feel I am inadequate is also not. That is, it is because of our vidya, ignorance, and mistaken notions about myself. It is because of that I am searching for this adequacy. I am already at. That vision is only present in Vedanta. So for that we need Vedanta.
There is, yeah, but what I also added to that is that there are certain philosophies and movements which also take the same vision, but the argument of these philosophies is that you need some kind of a process to actually have that experience of I am Brahman. Okay, that is the argument given by them. But when you
But
actually
then again,
clearly see what Swamiji says, he says that whatever be that experience is different. But what is required is that the problem is ignorance. The
yeah,
problem
problem is ignorance. That's why
is
the
not is not experience or non-experience of it. So this is one way he actually very decisively, okay, very clearly and cleverly he negates all of those. That's the
yeah,
beauty.
basically it cannot be achieved through action. So there is no other way but to know. No action can, he has clearly shown that no action can lead to limited. Every action is limited, and limited plus limited is only limited only. We cannot gain the limitless. By adding or subtracting anything, subtracting anything, we cannot gain adequacy. Okay, I think we can close now on 8 o'clock. We can discuss further in पूर्णमदः पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति